Data.
Yes.
Today, well, not today, but today I learned that we have lost someone who played a very big role in my childhood and my love of anime and manga and just Japanese culture.
Oh, who is
Akira
it?
Toriyama. Don't pretend like you don't know. You don't have to play. We've been talking about this all day, but Akira Toriyama has passed at the age of 68. For anyone who doesn't recognize Akira Toriyama, this is the man behind Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super, that whole series. He's made other works, but this is the series that I grew up on. From Goku setting off on his journey to help Bulma find the Dragon Balls, fights with the Red Ribbon Army, discovering he was an alien, traveling to another world, and saving the entire galaxy. The world, the Universal Tournament in recent years being one of the biggest bouts of just anything Dragon Ball in recent history, and with so many more plans on the horizon. The man, the myth, the legend, Akira Toriyama is no longer here.
Wow, that's really sad news.
He's like, I'm sure nerds everywhere were so hurt when Stan Lee passed, and it wasn't just another like fake out, because that's happened, right? Like famous people wake up, they see a news article pronouncing they're dead, and they're like, what the heck? I'm pretty sure it happened to Stan Lee like once or twice.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like false reports have happened and ended up in gossip rags, and it's funny. But when Stan Lee actually did pass away, like it messed up a lot of people. Like I'm pretty sure there were huge wakes, like entire panels at following conventions just paying homage to Stan Lee. He still ended up in a couple of movies past that because he'd already filmed himself on the Disney sets. But yeah, his passing was big. For me, Akira Toriyama is essentially equal, if not a little bit stronger, because I wasn't a comic book fan growing up. I knew about the Hulk and Spider-Man and Batman. I watched the animated shows, but they never really enthralled me as much as Dragon Ball did. And part of that was because I watched Goku grow up into a man and a fighter, a warrior, a defender. And it made me want to do, it made me kind of think, oh, that'd be so cool if that could be me. I'm probably not the only kid who sat there and tried to see if they could do a Kamehameha.
Yes. Or have their parents think that you're going to do a massive fart because you're trying so hard to focus all your chi.
Nah, not like that. I never quite got the gumption to sit there, squat, and scream. I'm pretty sure my parents would have thrown something at me. But I did go through the motions. I tried to catch every Toonami growing up because they had Dragon Ball Z on a block right after school. I was equal parts interested and disappointed in Dragon Ball GT when that came out, even though I think Akira Toriyama had like some say in it, but it wasn't his brainchild. Like he mostly just contributed toward it, as far as I understand. Dragon Ball GT wasn't originated by Akira Toriyama. Like Akira Toriyama at the time, like passed off the torch and said, "Hey, Buu Saga is it. That's all you're getting from me. Dragon Ball Z is done. I'm happy where this is leaving off. Thank you, everybody, for watching." And a friend of his, from my understanding, and I'm not pulling up the base material, so accuracy is as much as I can remember, and I'm trying not to be too specific. A friend of his wanted to do something with the intellectual property, and they got Akira's like stamp of approval to go ahead. And Akira Toriyama did step in occasionally and was like, "Oh, well, we could do this," or "This is a fun idea." And they collaborated like that, but for the most part, the series was not part of Akira's plan.
Gotcha.
And it went on, and it ended with what I thought was really touching. Goku flying off with absorbing the Dragon Balls and becoming the guardian of the Dragon Balls. And then there was a light little epilogue about his great grandson and continuing the role of a fighter and a martial arts master. And that was touching. It was cute, but it wasn't what I wanted. I wanted to know more about the interim. I didn't want to just flash forward years and miss a whole bunch of people growing up and other possible things. Goku getting soft in his older age and being just nerfed. At first I thought him being a kid again would be cool. And then it was just an excuse to nerf his abilities and make him useless a number of times. He would randomly pull Super Saiyan 3 out of his butt. But unless the plot allowed it, he was not allowed to be the solution. Right? Like things had to go wrong. They had to put themselves into a little corner. Then he would Super Saiyan up and be the hero. But he became so much more of a gag character, which in some aspects pays homage to the original Dragon Ball, but it never felt like it executed well for me. And so mixed feelings about GT in general. I still had love and respect for the property, so it was never like, I hate it or I love it. And then Super started up and we got the Battle of Gods. We got Frieza's return. We got so much, and the manga kicked back up and everything. And these last few years have been so fun for me as a fan of Dragon Ball. All of it was like spearheaded by Akira Toriyama. And now at the age of 68, he's passed on. And that is sobering, terrifying. That's young.
That is really young. I was surprised.
Fairly young. Did you see anywhere in the articles how he passed?
Yes, he did pass from, I think, like layman's terms, a blood clot in his brain. Hello, this is data editing from the future. The term blood clot is not entirely right, but I just wanted to say I corrected myself later with the proper term, so that first-time listeners don't get confused. Sorry about that. Anyways, back to Lycan.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That's... Of all the things that I thought might have done it, I didn't think blood clot. I was thinking maybe stress. I mean, at the end of the day, he's a writer and he's a mangaka, right?
Yes.
So that career is already very stressful. Tons of pressure to push things out at a decent rate. Mind you, he's really old hat to the business. He's been drawing and publishing manga since 1984 is when he created Dragon Ball.
Yes.
1982 is when he first got started. Oh, his wife was also a manga artist.
That's kind of crazy, huh?
Yeah. Fun fact: did you know his wife invented the Kamehameha?
No.
Yeah, he was brainstorming ideas for the manga, and just I don't know the exact circumstances, but he asked his wife, and she just Kamehameha'd like the first one ever in front of him, and he was like, "Oh, that's cool. I'll use that."
Oh, that's really cute.
It is like the secrets, my man, is learning. That trivia is honestly more important to me than the entirety of Dragon Ball GT. But that's me getting salty. Like, God, Dragon Ball and its popularity in America, I feel is a major reason why it's so prevalent now. There were other animes. There was like Zoids, and there was like Sailor Moon, Cowboy Bebop, like other stuff that made it to America either through Toonami or Adult Swim. Some of it censored to high heaven on 4Kids. God, I think there was a Kirby anime, and then there was like Beyblades and Yu-Gi-Oh! Like Dragon Ball Z is not the only anime that was popular in America, but I feel like it really helped pave the road for so much more, especially if we're just talking about standards for like fight scenes and just epicness.
Yeah, I agree. It's
Yep.
it's definitely a especially for American audiences where we really love our action. Action movies are always a thing, or at least were. But brain died. Go ahead.
I get what you're saying. Like, there's been a market for action anything for a long time.
Like you said, it paved a path for a lot of people. Like Dragon Ball was probably the first anime that anyone has ever watched. Like out of all the other anime, maybe Yu-Gi-Oh, maybe the others, but I think Dragon Ball might have been always said to me, specifically Dragon Ball Z.
Right. Like Dragon Ball, I'm fairly comfortable saying Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z was what set the tone and the idea for transformations, power levels, just in-depth combat, and a protagonist that wants to be the best they can be for totally selfish reasons, but we love them anyway. Luffy from One Piece. That dude is just all about being the pirate king and becoming stronger and fighting for his friends. He is absolutely selfish, but he's got a heart of gold. Do you know who else that reminds me of? Fucking Goku. Just 100%. Like, I see elements of Goku in Luffy. And yeah, Luffy's his own character. I'm not going to sit here and try and say, oh, they ripped off Son Goku. No, I love Luffy for other reasons too. But he's got those same qualities that made me root for Goku in every fight.
Yeah, it's like that shonen genre, that shared feeling between all the creations, all the works, all the manga.
Right. No, absolutely. I started this saying I'm going to miss Akira Toriyama, and of course I will. There are plenty of great works out there, but this is like one of the few manga artists whose names I recognize. Like who I can actually sit here and say, yeah, I know who that is. You name almost anyone with a Japanese name, and I shamefully wouldn't be able to tell you who they are. The only exception to that would be like Hayao Miyazaki. I might be mispronouncing his name, and he's Studio Ghibli. He's Spirited Away. He's My Neighbor Totoro. Other shows that I grew up on. He's older than Akira Toriyama now. Like,
oh geez,
has been for a while. Yeah, he's retired like twice, I think. It's freaking silly.
Oh, imagine.
Oh god, he's been nominated for 96 Academy Awards.
Gosh.
Oh my goodness. I'm just looking him up real quick. Oh, he's 83 years old right now, living in Tokyo City. But
man.
Yeah, I had no offense to him, knock on wood. I kind of expected him to be out the door before Akira Toriyama. But brain clot, you can't really plan or prepare for that.
Yeah, correction, it is more specifically acute subdural hematoma, which is, that was according to MSN. A subdural hematoma occurs when blood collects under the dura mater, one of the protective layers of tissue covering the brain.
It's still sudden. I don't know the man. I've never gotten the chance to see him at a convention or even talk to him. But just as a passive fan who's enjoyed the work for so long, I feel robbed that I won't get to see more of his stuff. That I'm now living in a world without Akira Toriyama, and that's just. I feel like the world of anime and manga is going to feel that. Fans everywhere of his work are going to feel that. And I feel like I can't expect Dragon Ball Super Daima to go on without him. Like, I know there were plans. There's Dragon Ball Daima, which they're taking another shot at Kid Goku. Adult Goku turning into a child again. No idea how that's going to go, but I have no idea what state the project is in. I have no idea if they're going to continue now that he's gone. I mean, ownership of Dragon Ball Z as an intellectual property probably falls to his wife, which I feel so bad for her for the loss, but will she want the show to continue on now that he's gone? That's up to her, isn't it? Not quite sure how the copyright law works in Japan.
Yeah, well, we can only really see what will happen.
It's going to be kind of crazy to see how that shakes out.
But I'm in my little brain, I'm just imagining Akira Toriyama flying around on Nimbus just over Earth. It's like, surf's up, dude, going around doing whatever he wants now. Anytime you see a shooting cloud in the sky, just think of him.
A piss yellow cloud, I have to add. Like, the Nimbus is famously yellow.
Can't really stop on the restroom out up there, can he?
Let's not speak ill of the dead. Come on.
I'm sorry. I was thinking about Goku as I was saying it, but then I realized the context of what we were talking about.
I get you. I opened the door for that, so I share in the guilt there, but now I feel bad.
I do too. I'm sorry.
No, absolutely. I can totally imagine Akira Toriyama getting his own flying Nimbus. Although your heart does have to be pure. And again, I don't know the guy personally. He has birthed some really silly stuff. I don't know how he created Master Roshi. So how pure is the man who created the man of Master Roshi? The famously obsessed with women, pulling out dirty magazines and harassing women. You know what? Wherever Akira Toriyama is, I'm sure he's in a good place. No, speaking ill of the dead, absolute sincerity. If he could hear me, I would like to say thank you so much for a show that shaped my childhood and gave me so many reasons to look forward to the weekend. Even if I got it like 10 years later than everyone else in Japan, I still appreciate what I had.
Yeah, it was definitely an experience.
I think the world of manga and anime are in a place that already took so much from what he put out and has evolved past really needing any example to do well. We've got so many great series now. One Piece, I mentioned earlier, already well stands on its own. Some people love it, some people hate it. I'm up to date on One Piece. So,
wait, what?
Yeah, no, I'm not necessarily watching it, but I've been keeping up with the manga for the most part. So I've not fallen behind.
My God,
I feel it's a lot. It's so much. But that's some free time reading right there. That's days and days of binging. I actually hit the point where I had to stop, and I'm letting it build up for a few weeks so I can binge it again. But that is awesome. Jujutsu Kaisen, I've heard wonderful things about. I'm one of those people though who have been getting the recommendation shoved down my throat so much
and sharing it with me.
Yeah. I was reading it, and then people were like, watch it. And I'm like, when I feel like it. Korea is doing really nice stuff. A lot of returner, regressor, and stuff keep popping up, or as that's a lot of what I like to read and watch. But Solo Leveling, God, is just fantastic. It's bloody. It's very much not what Dragon Ball was. Dragon Ball was so lighthearted. Solo Leveling just gets real so quick. Violence, my God. But,
yeah, these days, I feel like there's a bit more creative freedom / they are able to put a little bit more edgy stuff now.
Not if 4Kids has anything to say about it. God, Blue Popo. I will forever judge them for Blue Popo. You couldn't just let the man be. You had to turn him blue. God, 4Kids is so... Oh my God. Coming back to that in just a second, because I've got something I've been meaning to share.
Oh.
I was saying how a lot of anime probably learned or took elements of Goku's personality as a main character, or just how to escalate a situation with power levels and new transformations and big show-stopping reveals. But my hope is that after Dragon Ball Z and even with the return of Dragon Ball Super, we are already in a world where what he brought to the table and what got America so interested in Japanese culture and manga and anime has done its part. I don't want to sit here and think that with Akira Toriyama gone, like manga and anime culture will just disappear. I think they're here to stay for all of the weebs like me and you. But I will be one of those old guys that for years will think of Dragon Ball Z and Akira's works every time I see something new.
Yeah, like he really paved the path, like you said before.
At least I think so. Other people might not think so. Like there are plenty of artists and stuff that took more from Sailor Moon or Clannad, more slice of life shows. Yeah. Not every anime or manga needs to be a heart pounding action flick with like superpowers and wish fulfillment. And I recognize that, but every shonen style manga or anime has something relatable to its previous incarnation, it feels.
Yeah.
To something else among the genre. And that's going to stick with me for life, man. I still have that wrapped up bulk edition copy of Dragon Ball. Just still up on my bookshelf.
For the people who are unaware, shonen manga is basically aimed towards like young teenage boys, which is kind of the opposite of seinen, which is for adults, males.
I just thought of it as a specific like manga anthology booklet you could order in the mail.
Oh, Shonen Jump. Hey, I actually had Shonen Jump.
I did too for a while. They got expensive though. My parents didn't like me having it. I think I had Shonen Jump for like 1 year, and then I just collected whatever I could for a while. And
yeah, but they were huge, like for $5.
Yeah, I know. Like you fill up a bookshelf so fast.
Yeah.
Like if I could have kept collecting them and continued to collect them until now, I would have a wall-to-wall bookshelf, and I would probably still have extra issues.
I wonder if they still do
this
serialization for us.
Maybe. I just think about the fact that I remember picking up an issue of Shonen Jump with the very first chapter of One Piece in it. If there is a Shonen Jump for every chapter of One Piece that exists, I don't have enough wall space for a bookshelf that big. Jesus.
Oh, keep in mind, also, audience, that Shonen Jump was a little bit different, or between the Japanese and the American Shonen Jumps. They did have the same stories, but American Shonen Jump didn't come out until much later.
The thickness would change a little bit depending on what you were looking at.
Well, not just that, but the actual stories in it. Like, we didn't get to see Dr. Slump much, did we?
You might be right. I don't recall too much about Dr. Slump.
Yeah, because that was serialized in Weekly Shonen Jump until 1984.
Right.
When did we get Weekly Shonen Jumps?
2005?
Was it?
It had to be.
2002.
Now that we've taken a moment to address my love for the guy and what he brought to America, I want to share some of my conversation with my wife earlier when I told her.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, be warned, this might be cut out completely. So there's that. So I was out with my wife and I was telling her someone big passed away that I compare to the god of nerdkind, Stan Lee. And she was like, "Oh, Akira Toriyama." I was like, "Yeah, how'd you know?" She's like, "I found out about it just like an hour ago. I'm surprised I didn't hear it from you first." I'm like, "Well, I found out about it this morning." She knows how much I love Dragon Ball Z, so she didn't make a fuss right away until I started talking about the random factoids. I think I mentioned earlier, one of the random factoids was Akira Toriyama's wife actually came up with the idea for the Kamehameha. The real reason Goku's hair is yellow, the very first Super Saiyan transformation. Have I ever told you why they decided to make it yellow?
No, why?
Through the manga, building up to the grand reveal of the Super Saiyan, because they kept hinting at it throughout the Planet Namek saga, with Vegeta obsessed with it, and rumors of it spreading through Frieza's army, and Frieza hinting at it. And they're like, so Goku's going to achieve the transformation. It was a build up. Everyone was excited. And they were like, Akira Toriyama, what does it look like? It's like, I'll get back to you. And after a whole bunch of stuff, they decided simpler was better. And they just didn't color in Goku's hair. They gave him the spiky look. They bulged his musculature a little bit, made him look buff, which later they retconned a little bit. He doesn't get all swole anymore for just the base transformation. But the big reason they decided to go yellow is because it saves them a lot of time and some money not to spend all that ink coloring in Goku's hair.
What?
That's it. That's a big contributor to why it's yellow. It was just less ink on the page.
I mean, I guess I can see that, because back then, we didn't have digital, we didn't have color. Black and white, the reason why manga was black and white was because it was cheaper, it can be printed en masse for the audiences. But saving, because their hair gets really large, don't they?
Oh, it can take up quite a bit of the panel depending on the dynamic angle. Like, I'm pretty sure one iconic angle was Goku and Vegeta squaring off in the abandoned mountain range and standing on top of the rocks. Their black hair is just a thick stamp of ink. It's like every dynamic stance, every fight is just they draw the whole thing, and then they color in Goku's hair, they color in Vegeta's hair, they color in Gohan's hair. All the Saiyans except for I guess Trunks, just full black hair. Not other characters, but I guess when you have an ultimate power up like Super Saiyan, you can skip on the ink.
The ultimate money saver.
Just one of those silly things that I thought was hilarious. One of my favorite transformations that I saw equated to, it saved time, and I liked it. And it was fine. And hair-based transformations have made several appearances. I think the trope, when your hair gets longer, you get stronger. I think that was a big impact on Hunter x Hunter. Have you ever seen that?
I have read a bit of the manga, yes.
There is, in one of the last two, in the second to last arc, I believe, that appeared in Hunter x Hunter, Gon, the main character, loses his crap and has an anger-based transformation, very Dragon Ball Z, that ends up turning him into a big, buff, burly man.
Oh boy.
One of the things you'll notice, aside from the obvious physical transformation, the dude's hair disappears into the top of the panel. It just elongates straight up. And I think you can see the top of it only in certain zoomed out shots. And it's just really defying gravity and floating up. It looked almost like a hilarious parody of the Super Saiyan transformation. Super long, straight up hair. And it made me laugh when I reread the chapter, because I didn't even notice Gon's hair did that the first time I saw the episode. I was too focused on, he's pissed and he's beating the crap out of this ant person. And then I went back and I was like, what the hell's going on with this anti-gravity do? And it just made me think that's kind of an homage to Dragon Ball Z. Hell, I mean, the enemy from the big bad from that arc reminded me of Dragon Ball Z. He's been compared to Cell so many times.
Honestly, the mangaka are actually pretty close-knit, especially for the ones who are kind of up there. They do talk to each other a lot, so maybe it's one of those, haha, do you mind if I sneak this in? Or a random cameo in the background character, stuff like that. Maybe they might have talked. Maybe we just don't know.
I love the idea that a whole bunch of the like popular, just well-known mangakas just occasionally meet up and talk, and they have like sly little winks or just funny little references to each other that show up in chapters. Then they call each other up on the phone. I was like, oh, did you read my new issue? I was like, yeah. Did you pull that out of Dragon Ball? Yeah. What'd you think? Gon's hair is ridiculous. I love it. That would make me so happy.
It does happen. I have heard some people give their recounts, or some mangaka give their recounts, just hanging out.
I want to imagine that Akira Toriyama had a lot of friends who are currently going through it, but have great memories of the guy. I'd be devastated to find out he was anything less than a wonderful person. I'll be honest. I remember one of the last times a celebrity passed that really messed me up, and then I got super angry over was I brought it up, and now I feel like a butt because his name is slipping my mind. He voiced Genie from Aladdin. He was Mrs. Doubtfire. Help me out, Data.
Oh no!
Oh, he's slipping our mind. He's disappearing from reality. We have to stop this. He played his baddie in Ferngully. Come on, brain.
Robin Williams.
There we go. Thank you, Robin Williams. Oh my god, I feel now I'm mad at myself for forgetting that man's name.
Me too.
I love basically every movie he's ever been in. Everything from Good Morning Vietnam, Mrs. Doubtfire, the animated stuff.
Was he in Flubber too?
He was the lead in Flubber, yes. He was the scientist that created Flubber.
Yeah, he was really talented.
Yeah, he was all over the place, and I loved his movies. And when he passed, I was super sad. I remember I had just seen a talk show where he had come on, and he made a woman in the audience laugh so hard they had to call EMTs.
Oh.
Yeah, that was like one of his last major public appearances. And then he passed. And I was like really upset because, like, you know, I loved his work. And then I started hearing what happened to him. I actually heard the reason he passed away in trade school during a rough time of my life. And it's just this dude who wouldn't leave me alone. And he kept trying to talk to me. And I decided to try and change the topic to something I was thinking about. And I was like, man, I loved Robin Williams. I'm going to miss him now that he's gone. And I don't know why this dude just wanted to be a jerk. He was like, oh, you like Robin Williams? Why? He was a drug addict and he killed himself. I was like, excuse me? And I don't think I had any information on what really happened to him, but the way that was delivered to me pissed me off. I'm pretty sure I told that guy to go screw himself in multiple ways, and I never talked to him again. But I did some actual digging, and like the real reason Robin Williams passed away is heartbreaking. Like it was almost like I lost him twice. First because he was gone, and second because my perception of him was shaken. I don't judge him for how he went out. I wish he hadn't gone that way. I really do.
No.
But it started making me look into who he really was in life, and finding out that he dealt with depression for so long resonated with me.
Same.
Like,
very much so. In fact, if you've seen some of his some movies, like later ones, you do get that feeling like when he plays sad parts, you really feel it. Like it doesn't even feel like acting anymore.
No, when Robin Williams cries in a film, that doesn't feel very false. It feels like that came naturally to him, that he felt that need to cry. Those tears were real for me. And maybe I'm just overhyping an old actor, or maybe there's something to that. I had a quote from Robin Williams. I think the saddest people always try their hardest to make people happy because they know that it's like what it's like to feel absolutely worthless. They don't want anyone else to feel like that. Robin Williams.
That is very true.
Yeah, I didn't have a huge sense of humor when I was younger. I went through a lot of depression. I was bullied. I struggled at home a lot. But when I came into my high school years, I really wanted to break out of that. I met a few people that I thought were good, and I started learning to laugh again. And I liked making other people laugh. It comes more naturally to me now than it ever did when I was younger. But by the time I finally understood that and I started reading more and actually learning about Robin Williams, I found that quote while I was in trade school. And it made a whole lot click for me. And I suddenly felt like in that moment, I understood more about Robin Williams than I ever did just enjoying him as an actor. And I felt like a total piece of crap for only talking about the movies and knowing nothing about the actor. And for a lot of people, I still do that. I should probably learn more about some of the actors that I do enjoy, like Jim Carrey or Ryan Reynolds. I wish I knew more about Akira Toriyama, even though I have a whole bunch of weird factoids. But like losing someone who equates to a hero always sucks for so many reasons.
Very much so.
But I'm at the point in my life where I would rather cherish what they brought to me than mourn what I lost. Dragon Ball Super and Dragon Ball Daioh may continue on with some direction, may do well, it may peter out. But I will forever cherish the childhood memories, rushing home from school, turning on the TV, and getting right into the action with the newest episode of Dragon Ball Z, and just being so excited for what this man created.
Yeah. I'm sure there are a lot of other fans out there as well who knew his earlier works, and you guys will probably also hold it very close to you, just like Dragon Ball Z.
Just like Dragon Ball Z. I think the first thing I'm going to do when I finally get my own office and shelf space is I'm going to look for some like old school Dragon Ball Z statuettes, because I feel like first on the list of things that I need to pay respect to, this man and one of the projects that shaped my upbringing. And my taste in just everything now. Jesus. I need to play Dragon Ball Kakarot again. I need to replay Dragon Ball Kakarot.
Oh, actually, I played a PS1 game of Dragon Ball Z. It was interesting.
What, the first Budokai?
Was it Budokai? No, it was PlayStation 1. It might have been called Dragon Ball Z Ultimate Battle 22, something like that.
Yeah, I just saw that. Oh my god. The first Dragon Ball GT game released on PlayStation.
Okay.
Oh my god. Oh, I remember learning about that. Dragon Ball GT actually released a long time before we got the serialization over here in America. God, how long was Akira Toriyama actually retired? I think about it. Maybe not retired, but how long had... No, he retired Dragon Ball Z. He was doing stuff. Like, I know he played a part in Dragon Quest and Chrono Trigger.
Oh, that's true. I just literally read that. Are we seeing the same thing?
I'm pretty sure we're looking at the same article. But
what was the next paragraph drawing from his lifelong love of automobiles?
Wow. Yeah, no. We're looking at the same article.
Akira Toriyama also kind of combined a lot of stuff that was popular back then, like mecha, or just automaton type of stuff. Like,
there were a lot of robots in Dragon Ball, especially the original. The Red Ribbon Army employed them quite a bit. They also made a lot of appearance in later games, even in series where they didn't play a part in Dragon Ball Z. I remember playing the Game Boy Advance Dragon Ball Z game for the Cell Saga. One of the regular enemies were those robots just stomping around, using a flamethrower and punching the hell out of you. Like, they never really went away.
Yeah, I did have a thing for one of the androids, but moving on.
She is married, sir. He even had a kid.
Oh, I must have missed that. All I remember was Red Ribbon, and I think that very same day I learned about Red Ribbon was when we went to go to Red Ribbon Bakery. So I was like, I was so confused.
Jesus. Two very different things.
Astro Boy wasn't really finished until much later because, you know, the creator wanted to make like the really, really hard process of cel shading, I think. Just an anime.
Oh.
And, you know, the techniques back then were obviously like, we can do things faster now. But that was almost a multi-decade thing. Anyways, there are amazing people out there, especially in the manga anime industry.
It's something I'm going to be a nerd about for a long time. I'm going to try and get my baby into manga and anime eventually.
Heck yeah. Do it. Absolutely. Let's all be nerds.
I will
Weebs.
probably not introduce her to Dragon Ball right away because there are a couple of scenes that I need to find the edited versions of. Oh yeah, the thing with my wife. This could be bonus content, and we pretty much gone the full hour already, so feel free to cut this out. I was talking to my wife, and I was like, "Hey, do you remember? Do you know why the Super Saiyan haircut is white, and what decided that? Or it wasn't white; it was yellow." But she told me, "Yeah." I was like, "Well, why do you think it is the way it is?" And she immediately went off as white supremacy. Turn the main character in a blonde-haired, blue-eyed super hunk. I was like, excuse me? It's like, well, for starters, Super Saiyan's eyes are green. And no, it was to save time coloring in the hair. The yellow hair was just a simple solution to what was probably an overcomplicated issue. She was like, nah, it's white supremacy. Just look what they did to Mr. Popo. I was like, what do you mean, Mr. Popo? It was like, those lips are offensive. I'm like, well, damn. Like, do you know anything about Mr. Popo? She's like, he's probably some servant to someone. I was like, race? Is race really that big of an issue in here? I mean, he serves God. She's like, what color is God? I was like, green. Didn't have anything to say to that. For anyone missing the context here, my wife is black. But going back to that, I was like, well, do you know why Mr. Popo showed up in the first place? And she's like, why? I was like, to knock some sense out of the hero, teach him there's always a bigger, stronger guy. And like, I tried to describe his original appearance and how he was like a big time mentor for Goku, teaching him how to sense ki. She didn't really care. She was like, look, I'm gonna let you mourn, but they know what they did. And why they ever turned Mr. Popo blue? I was like, that wasn't them. She's like, so they didn't realize what they'd done? I'm like, I want to say no, but I don't feel like that helps my argument. Anyway, 4 kids turned Mr. Popo blue, not Toriyama or Shonen. She is like, whatever. It's like, I don't have a companion in Dragon Ball Z with my wife. She has very specific opinions of the show. Even when she was like, all of their transformations are just white man stuff. I was like, this hair turns blue and like a deep scarlet pink. Like, what do you mean? She's like, they should have just turned it white and been honest. It's like, oh damn.
Oh. Imagine if Super Saiyan hair was not blonde; it was white. Oh. Everyone became old men.
There's actually a transformation now for Goku called Ultra Instinct, and it is his ultimate form. And I don't want my wife to be aware of this because it literally turns not only his hair, but his pupils white. I feel like I don't have a leg to stand on if she finds that out.
Oh.
I understand that Japanese artists in the past have done some suspicious things. I can't look at Jinx the Pokemon and go, yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. There are so many things wrong with Jinx conceptually. With no small part of Jinx kind of scares me.
Yeah, it actually did scare me too as well when I was a kid.
You know the Pal World Lovander?
Yeah.
I think the very first time Jinx was introduced in the anime for Pokemon, she came on to Brock. If I'm not misremembering it,
I think I remember that.
Yeah, she started flirting with the human, and Brock, who had been flirting with countless women, got a taste of his own medicine. It was deeply uncomfortable, and it's like I don't know. I don't know how to do with this.
When you put it that way, I have to applaud Jinx now.
Yeah, that's it. That's all I've got. Thank you, Akira Toriyama. I'll miss you.